Good evening and welcome to Information Please, your Peoria Public Library on the air, and bring you information about your library and your community. And this evening I have Stacy Peterson, and we're going to do a kind of save the date show here and make sure you don't miss any of the exciting programming at the library through December, late November, and the rest of next year. Hi, Stacy.
Good evening, Trisha.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good, good. We've just been laughing about the numerous things we have going on and how they all connect. And
Yes.
I think we want to start. This is past, but we were talking about how great it was, and it leads into next month. Was your October music in the Mackenzie? Was who?
I had a gentleman named Brooks Williams. Brooks Williams was named one of the top 100 singer-songwriters by a British music magazine. And that's kind of important because although he was born in Georgia and grew up in Georgia, he met a British woman and he wound up relocating there. I saw him 10 years ago play and thought he was magnificent. He really is a one-man band, plays a steel guitar and an acoustic guitar, I would say in the style of Leo Kottke, but it's not a 12-string. And is a wonderful lyricist, and he came and played in October as part of the music in the Mackenzie. And we not only had a full house, but we had people who, before the show was even over, were coming up to me saying, please bring him back, please bring him back, he's so good. And he was just absolutely magnificent. I found out through our talking after the show that he travels to the States about 6 times a year. So hopefully we can bring him back for 2014, which I know we'll talk about a little more later in the show, since he'll be around here. We're so lucky to be in between Chicago and St. Louis to get some of these extra wonderful acts.
That's what makes it easy for people to pop down here and see us.
Yes.
And so we're not like out in the middle where it's too far for them to go or whatever.
We're right on the way. Right on the way.
Okay, and so that's leading into...
Oh, November. This is one of my most highly anticipated music in the Mackenzie concerts for a couple of reasons. We have a woman named Rachel Davis, born and raised in Michigan, and now she has moved to Nashville. And Rachel is a guitar player. She plays the banjo, she plays the mandolin. She grew up in a very musical family. She literally grew up in campgrounds at hootenannies. And when I also saw Rachel about 10 years ago, around the same time that I saw Brooks. And when I started developing this series, I called her up and I was also developing the Kids Rock program. And I said, you know, Rachel, I know that you have a background with your family and your parents were educators. Can you recommend anybody to play for Kids Rock? And she said, well, my family's still playing. So I had them here in June of this year and they were wonderful. And so Rachel will be coming for her solo show at the end of October, October 27th, I want to say,
November
27th, right after Thanksgiving from 2 to 4. And this is also important to note as far as the quality of performers that we're getting at the Mackenzie Room. A year ago when we started, our very first concert was a trio from North Carolina called the Stray Birds. The Stray Birds just released a song that's been one of the top 100 downloading in the folk genre on iTunes, and they played in the Mackenzie Room, and that's really neat. And then Rachel Davis's husband, who played with Lake Effect, his name is Dominic John Davis, was recently on Austin City Limits because he plays backup for Jack White. But his album, which was the country music television tribute to Willie Nelson's 80th birthday, just came out. So that's very exciting. He played in the Mackenzie Room. And then earlier in the year, we had a trio called the Waymores. And all 3 people in the Waymores are successful in their own right, one as a female singer-songwriter and the other 2 more as songwriters. And Tom Ferris, who is in that band, currently has a charted I think it's number 4 on the country music charts right now with Miranda Lambert's song, All Kinds of Kinds. He wrote it, he sang background on it, he actually performed it in the Mackenzie Room. So we've set the standard in the Mackenzie Room and I don't think there's any going back. We've got some wonderful acts right now.
Very exciting. It's so much fun to be able to see somebody when they're right on the verge of going to the point where you can't afford those tickets anymore.
You can't afford them. And I had a woman actually who called for the Brooks Williams concert, and she said, well, how much is the program? And I said, it's free. And she said, well, I'm driving from Macomb, and I was going to buy a ticket for my friend. And I said, well, why don't you buy a CD for your friend? Because the CDs, we do give a donation of that to our friends of the Peoria Public Library group.
Exactly.
And they are so wonderful about helping us bring in this entertainment that we are just thrilled when people come and enjoy it enough to invest in that music to enjoy once the program
Exactly,
is over.
exactly.
So Rachel Davis is absolutely wonderful. She has a way with words, and I don't know anybody who can't listen to a banjo for a couple hours and not leave happy.
Yeah,
It's going to be a wonderful
and the nice
concert.
thing is these are on Sunday afternoons, so it's perfect to do whatever you do on Sunday morning. Go out to lunch even if you want, and then show up and enjoy some music. Go home, nice relaxing evening.
Yeah, home early enough. It's
yeah.
2 sets. That's the traditional makeup. So we do 2 45-minute sets with about a 15-20-minute break in between. I tell people if you want to bring a snack, of course we have the coffee machines out there.
Yeah.
Bring something in. It's all right. We want you to come if you can stay for a set or a song or the whole thing. We just want you to show up and have a good time. It's a great way
and
to
you
spend
can
a
bring the
Sunday.
kids and
yeah.
people who wouldn't go out at night anymore. People I know we have music lovers who they're not up for going to a bar at this point.
No.
Or can't find a babysitter, and so everybody can come.
I
Bring
think,
the kids,
yeah.
bring grandma. It's like a hootenanny.
It is like a hootenanny, and I can't tell you how many musicians will come in and start performing. They'll say, well, thanks for inviting me here tonight. Totally,
Forget
thrown off
that
that
that's
it's a Sunday afternoon.
Sunday
And the
afternoon.
musicians absolutely love it. You can tell that they're relaxed, and I mean, I should knock on some wood, but I've had yet to have an experience with a musician that doesn't want to stick around and talk to our patrons.
Yeah.
And we've got people coming from
Do they autograph the
Bloomington.
CDs? If
Always.
They don't? Yeah. So
Always. They come
Cool.
with that Sharpie in their claw, and they're ready to go.
just think if Elvis had played the Mackenzie Room and you had an autographed CD.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Maybe this will be the next. Maybe Brooks Williams is the next Elvis, and we don't know it yet.
Could be.
Could be. So
So
that's
Get your
no-
autographed CD.
And that's November. Do you want me to talk about December?
I do.
We are going to close out Music in the Mackenzie and Kids Rock, and I'll get to that in a minute as well, with local performers. There's a gentleman here who lives in Peoria by the name of Jared Bartman. He is the librarian for the Peoria Symphony. So he comes from a classical background, but he also plays with a fellow Music in the Mackenzie artist, a gentleman named Peter Adriel, who we had earlier in the year. And he plays with a string quartet, and he plays accordion with his wife, and he is kind of a jack of all trades in the music world. He will be playing and bringing a string quartet to the library.
How nice.
It's going to be a very interesting concert. He uses a looping machine. He plays the guitar. There's some percussion involved, and it's a local act. So we're really happy. He's actually going on a nationwide tour, but he's going to conclude in Peoria. So
How
that's
nice.
going to be kind of a thrill
Yeah,
to
that
have
is.
him here.
That is. And what's Kids Rock in December?
Oh man, perennial favorite. We started the series with her in January. We're ending the series with her, Julie Kay.
Everybody loves Julie Kay.
Julie Kay can fill a room with little people, and once she turns that bubble machine on, mayhem ensues. It's fun. It's fun. It's a good time. And she's really been a longtime supporter of the library.
She is.
And she's performed for us on Family Reading Night. She sings songs about reading. She uses education in her performances. And the kids learn, and they don't realize they're learning. They just love it. So that'll be a really fun performance to end Kids
Yeah.
Rock with.
Well, speaking of Family Reading Night, we have a different musician this year on
do.
Family Reading Night.
We do, and you have drummers in your family, so
I do.
You're
I'm
probably
surrounded by percussionists.
Well, this year we're getting pots and pans, and I have some friends actually who every New Year bang on pots and pans. I don't know if this is just them or if this is some kind of weird tradition.
Well, my
It's
family always did that. I
Did
grew
they?
up doing that. My kids do it.
ward off the bad
You go,
spirits. Or,
no, it's just making noise because you can't shoot a gun off. I don't know. You don't have firecrackers are illegal, so you take a wooden spoon in your pot and pan and go outside and bang. Little kids love doing that.
I love it. Well, they're going to really love it when we bring it to the library on November. I want to say it's November 21st. I think is
Yeah,
the date.
it's- yeah, it's-
That's going to be fun. I believe they've performed with us before. I have not yet seen them, only in video clips. People can certainly go onto YouTube and see what it's all about.
Well, they're a steel band, and they want everybody to know that they're not beach music. They're stretching
Yes.
the parameters of the instrument. So
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
And
it'll
I
be
don't
fun.
know, there aren't really any steel drums who perform around here.
no,
So,
there are at Western Illinois University. They have a steel drum band, and this band actually started at Northern, I believe, and as they graduated, they just kept doing it. And so, but it'll be fun. It'll be a
It'll be
lot of
fun.
fun. Yeah,
It'll be
great
fun,
time
it'll be
to
loud.
turn off the TV, the electronic devices, and experience something new.
Exactly. We like bringing loud to the library for some reason. It challenges a lot of perception.
It's in a room out away from where you want to
Right.
be quiet. So loud in one part of the library, quiet in another.
And we always have quiet designated study rooms for those patrons who
Don't want to
really
hear
wanna
the
be
thumping
interrupted.
through the
That's right.
wall. Exactly.
That's right.
But also, that's all of our auditory arts, music. But what have we got in our gallery coming?
Oh, still in our gallery. We're kind of on the in the middle of this exhibit. It's
Yeah.
We had it last year. This year it is the art of veterans, both currently serving and those who are non-active anymore. This is called Home for the Holidays. And last year we had a lot of success and a lot of wonderful feedback when we started this show. We partnered with the local Order of the Purple Heart. The gentlemen in that group, and I dealt, of course there are women also, but I dealt primarily with some of the older gentlemen, were wonderful with their time, with their volunteers, and they helped hang the show. They helped bring things in. They brought in cakes for the reception, and the only complaint I had was that the show was too short at 1 month. It was just not enough time.
It wasn't enough time for people to get there to see it.
Exactly. And so Nancy Davis, who's chairing this event, she and I sat down and discussed the possibility of extending it to the end of the year in hopes that we'd be able to share the show with servicemen and women who were coming home for the holidays, or just people who have things going on in their life. November is packed full of events for veterans and the military, and we thought, well, giving it that extension gives everybody the freedom,
Yes.
to come along and see it. Our gallery walk is December 8th at 2 o'clock with Nancy. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the Purple Heart gentlemen were there. But it's interesting because last year we had many members who came to our reception. The reception was really well attended. And they said, I didn't know I could just bring in a photograph. They were active members. And we said, no, it can be any kind of art that you want. It can be a duck decoy. It can be a photograph of your garden. It can be something that's military related. It can be a sculpture. It can be absolutely anything. We just happen to know that there are so many military people that not just use artist therapy, which is kind of a newer
Yes.
development, I think, in that in the PTSD world. But there are a lot of artists that go out there and use their hands, or a lot of veterans that use their hands or use a camera. And what a great way to get a huge variety of work in one place.
Yeah, and these are local artists.
For the most part, they're local. Last year we had a few entries from Chicago. We did send the message out to the huge veterans population that goes through the Danville Veterans, the VA administration there. We partnered with Nate Hearn in Congressman Aaron Schock's office. He handles veterans cases and benefits and employment. He put the word out. But this was primarily local people, and it included everything from almost like a scrimshaw carved bone to poetry, to photography, to huge sculptures. And some of the work is very raw, and some of it's very provocative, and some of it's very beautiful. And it's just an incredibly emotional show. We're lucky that these men and women feel that they're in a place where they can show it, and we love honoring them in this way. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's
We're
great.
Really
it's
happy
great
to have it
be able
back.
to do that. Yeah, and it just, if you've got family from out of town, you have nothing to do with the military, but you enjoy art, come. It's free. It's one place you can bring the whole family. 9 to 6, Monday through Saturday.
Yeah.
Come in and just take your time enjoying it. And I think so many people come to the library will just wander downstairs and peek and see what's in the gallery.
They do.
Yeah.
And recently, back in October, we hosted a reception that was part of the citywide celebration of artists. It was a virtual reception. So this was held in the auditorium, and basically all the work was photographed. I put it up on the auditorium screen, played music, we had cookies and coffee, and it was primarily students who are artists from Peoria Notre Dame High School. Now, we're no strangers to them. They've participated heavily in the Congressional Art Show, so we've seen their work before. But many of them had still not made it, for whatever reason, to the big art reception that Congressman Schock had. So a lot of people came down to the auditorium, and not only were they exposed to this virtual reception, which was a new way to do this work,
Yeah.
they got to see the bookstore, and so many of them had not seen the art gallery. And at that time, women's
goodness.
work was up, so they had the opportunity to walk down the stairs and see it. And when people see that space, they're just blown away. It's beautiful.
It is. It is. And hard to believe. People always say, where did this come from? And that was always a sealed off floor. I mean, you weren't with us before the renovations, but I was, and concrete floors just packed with moldering stuff that you couldn't even take off the shelf. And
Yeah.
so wonderful to be able to get those things where people can use them and have that space for our local history and genealogy and our gallery.
Yes.
It's wonderful.
We're lucky.
Wonderful.
And some of our patrons might notice we've got some treasures of our own collection, correct? Hanging in some of our other buildings. I've noticed
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
at my recent
Yeah.
visit to Lincoln.
Yep.
We
We're
have,
finally getting back the things that the library owns, getting back on the walls so people can enjoy them. I get them
So,
back out of
yeah.
storage and up.
so even if you can't get to the art gallery, you
You'll
can
see art in
see
the
art in
library.
any of our buildings, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice.
And the other thing people can do, which I've had people be surprised by this, but if you're not a heavy library user, you don't know, we have an enormous collection of art books.
Oh,
You know,
they're
the
gorgeous.
table, you know, the tabletop coffee table books, I think they call them, huge,
Yep.
beautiful prints, wonderful way, with even small children can just sit and look at pictures. Wonderful way to get some art into your life very easily. Just check out it, other than they're big to carry.
They're big to carry, but we have ample seating, especially on the second floor
yeah,
of Main where
yeah,
those
you
are
don't even have
located.
to check them out, but you can. You
But we
can
do
sit
have
right
a-
there, and
it's
you
a
don't have to
lovely
refile them. Leave them on the table when you're done, and the librarian will put them back.
Exactly. So come in, enjoy art, and then leave it.
Yeah,
We'll
exactly.
take care of the rest.
We'll take care of it, yeah. So what about next year, 2014? What are some gallery things we have coming?
2014, the gallery's already booked for the whole year. It's so exciting to see that gallery. As you said, to go from a service floor, a closed floor, to a space that people are using. So we're going back and we're saying, what does the community want to see? We're blending all different kinds of things. In January, we are partnering with a local Hindu organization. You might remember that a couple of years ago, we partnered with the Jewish Federation.
Yes.
And they helped us with this beautiful traveling Smithsonian exhibit. And they brought in many personal items and artifacts from their world. And it was just a wonderful way to build a new relationship with a very, very popular group in town, one that gets out and does a lot of cultural events on their own. It wound up developing into a movie series with the Jewish Federation, and that was really nice. The community really responded to that. So in this case, we're working with the Peoria area Hindus, and they use a lot of our facilities at North for meditation programs, but this is the first time we're handing over the gallery to show elements of their culture and their beliefs and have some additional programming in January. So that'll be interesting and something, another facet of our community that we're able to bring in to this community space. In February, we have, which is Black History Month,
Yes.
we have oh my gosh, this woman is amazing. This is a visiting artist from Chicago. She'll be in residence in Peoria for 2 years. Her name is Trish Williams. Trish Williams is a fiber artist, and she makes wearable fiber pieces. She constructs these incredible dolls, but she also works with the fabric. She dyes it, she sews it, she hangs it. She will be doing a solo show, and I'm thrilled. We are the only gallery at this point to have secured her for a solo show.
Oh, nice.
So on those beautiful white walls, her colorful textiles and dolls are going to just make a splash. People are going to love it.
The cold and dreary January, what a wonderful thing to see.
Oh, and it's incredible.
Or February.
In February. And
February.
she's also an arts educator. She has a lot of activities planned to get children involved with textiles. So you'll actually get to sit down hands-on with the artist and get a take-home. I mean, if I was a kid, I'd be over the moon over something like that. So that's February. Trish is also part of a Chicago collective group of women artists called Sapphire and Crystals. And these are all women that work in a variety of mediums. They had a show at the Romaine Gallery in Peoria during October's citywide celebration.
Okay.
And so they're going to have a completely different show in March in our gallery space.
Nice.
This will be an interesting way because it's not just Chicago artists, it's regional artists, Springfield artists, and it's going to be a very unique show. And you might remember back in October, the Prairie Fiber Arts Guild got very involved with things around the city.
Yes.
They yarn bombed
Yes.
different things. They had a fashion show. You're going to see some beautiful colors and textiles similar to what the Prairie Fiber Art Guild does, but it's a completely different group of people. So that's going to be March. In April, Congressional Art Show comes back. That last year we had, I want to say 300 entries in the gallery. It was
Yes.
substantial.
Yes.
It was substantial. So Congressman Schock always does a very nice job with the reception.
And of course, that's all high school students, and you
Yes.
think, oh, but you get there and you're astounded at
It's
the quality of the
magnificent.
art.
And any high school student in his district can participate.
Mm-hmm.
And Well, you were there before the renovation,
Yes.
so you remember the days
Yes.
when the show would be held in the auditorium, and it was maybe a
Yes.
day and it wasn't ample space. And then they moved to Lakeview Museum, and they were in the basement, but only for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And then Lakeview closed, so they moved to the Civic Center, and it was hung on very temporary wall space. And then this will be the third year that
They
they've
come
been at
back
the
to our
library.
gallery.
They come back to our gallery. They absolutely love being in that environment, having that visibility, having the accessibility for a nice long amount of time. And to Congressman Schock's credit, he also added, and not everybody does this in their district, a 3D portion. So he felt that the 3D artists were really underrepresented and underserved, and wanted to make sure that all types of art was going to be recognized in his district. So we're thrilled.
Yeah.
In April, we have Lincoln Traveling Exhibit, and I know there's going to be a big push of stuff, but this is going to involve films, and we're trying to secure Randy Saxon, recently retired Randy Saxon, who's still very, very
Well, it's Lincoln
busy.
and the Constitution, and
Lincoln
we
and
got this
Constitution.
a long time ago, but it fits in so well with our Peoria Reads theme.
It does.
And so that's going to be one of the times when we don't have, we have something beyond just visual art. But these traveling exhibits are great because they have the big panels. If you think of a big city museum with the big panels and the explanation, and
Yes.
and it's really a great way to learn. So that's going to be a good thing.
It will be, and there will be, as you said, just a multitude of partnering programs, both with Bradley around town. It's going to be, and everybody loves Lincoln. I
Yes.
mean, there will be something for everybody in the Lincoln exhibit. Following that, we'll be moving into summer. So we're going to have the Rennick Art Show, again, partnering with the Peoria Historical Society.
And anybody can enter
Anybody.
that. Anybody can enter that, and it's a great way for newer artists or artists who don't have enough for a whole show.
Yes.
If you want to try that, or somebody who's been around forever can enter it. And there's
Yes.
usually money attached.
There's usually money attached, and they have opened it up, realizing that photography was a very popular category. They opened it up to photography, and you see everything. It's one of the oldest juried shows in the state of Illinois, and
Yes.
it's been with the library for a very, very long time, and they love being in that space.
It's expanded so much
Oh,
back
gosh.
before our renovations, when we just had two little walls outside of art and music. We had those panels that went down the middle of the hallway.
Yeah.
You need to have maybe 10 pieces, and now
Oh my gosh, it's easily well over 100.
Yes.
And they're just wonderful to work with. They always get a nice judge, and we always have a good time with the Rennick Show. We're going to bring back Illinois Art League. Again, anybody can participate. They open it up to their members, but anybody can participate. And it's, again, a variety of mediums. They didn't make it onto the schedule for 2013, so they had their show in Peoria Heights, but they're back for 2014. So that'll be exciting. We have
Yeah.
some individual shows coming up. We have artists, this is a collective, but it's a local collective. Artists of the Atelier, which is the studio owned by husband and wife art team Carrie and James Pierce.
Oh,
James
their
is a
things are
woodworker.
wonderful.
He's incredible, and Carrie is oil and acrylic. And they have several artists who work out of their studio. Cindy Merrill, who recently received her MFA from ISU in ceramics, and Richard Kurz, who's a woodworker who makes everything from earrings to objects. Chris Hudson, who does printmaking and drawing. Sissy Carlson, who works in felt. So they're going to curate a show featuring the artists from their gallery. And their gallery is very unique. It's really was the first gallery to put its teeth in the footprint of the warehouse district, which is now becoming even more successful with the opening of new businesses.
Yeah, and there's places to eat there now, finally.
Wonderful places to eat. In fact, I was at Sugar the other night, and I couldn't get a table at 8 o'clock on a Friday. So that development is lovely. Following that show, we will have Caterpillar is back, 2 of our 4 years.
Yes.
This Caterpillar show is going to be very exciting for people who are not familiar with the exhibit. There's a local gentleman, a retired Caterpillar vice president named Mark Johnson, who has made it his hobby to collect Caterpillar advertisements, primarily from Look Magazine and Saturday Evening Post. He has well over 500 today, and this could change, and next year he might have 600 ads.
Yeah.
But he has broken down his collection into 4 different segments of history, basically. So we started at the very beginning in 2013, and it ended around 1930. And in 2014, we're going to feature ads from wartime. And this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
We're working with Nikki Thaxton, who's the archivist at Caterpillar. She's been a great help in seeing this, and apparently we have some ads on our display that Caterpillar doesn't even have in their collection. But their advertising work is not only interesting from a design perspective, but you will see in this particular period of time that it's going to reflect what's going on in the world.
In the world, yeah, exactly, exactly.
You know? And it will be, we hope, it'll spark a lot of dialogue, not just history, but just what do these ads mean? And it talks a lot about building projects, and boy, how some of those things come back to these times. It's going to be a wonderful show. We love the Caterpillar show. And we'll have the Caterpillar tractor models back. The little kids really like looking at those, and the big kids.
Some of the big kids do
Big
too.
kids like 'em too.
I've caught a lot of big kids carefully studying those.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yes.
That brings us to October. I'm almost to the end of the year. I can't believe it. October in the state of Illinois is Arts and Humanities Month. So every year there's a different theme. And this year, of course, we went with the citywide celebration of women artists. In 2014, we are going to be working with another, I just mentioned James and Carrie Pierce, a husband and wife team, who are both individual artists on their own. In October, we're going to be working with Ken and Barb Hoffman, both established artists, husband and wife, totally different work, but they're going to come together for a show. And they've done a couple of collaborative shows where they've brought in both of their pieces, but it's been a while since we've brought them together, and their work is fun and interesting, and people will love it. We're very excited to have Illinois artists for Illinois Arts and Humanities Month. So that'll be October, which will then take us into November, December of next year, which we hope we'll have the veterans back for that.
Yeah, and because that show is new every year.
Every year we get more work, and we had a lot of submissions last year, but I'm anticipating even more as it keeps going.
Well, that brings us to the end of 2014 and the end of this show. So
Well, there we go.
Thank you. As you can tell, our programming department's really busy, but you can find all about it at peoriapubliclibrary.org on our calendar, and we'll see you next week on Information Please.